our first runner-up in the Canadian Constitution Foundation's inaugural Municipal Muzzle Award. And we give this award to 3 different Canadian towns, regions, or municipalities, cities that have the worst censorship bylaw. So we created this award because we wanted to highlight how Canadian municipalities are censoring or muzzling the speech of Canadian citizens. Because people often think of their federal government or provincial government as being involved in censoring their freedom of expression and their fundamental freedoms, but it's actually most often your municipal government that you have the closest connection with. So we wanted to highlight that by creating this Municipal Muzzle Award to highlight the terrible things that some municipalities do to silence freedom of expression, because this is often the level of government that Canadians have the closest interaction with. So Caledon, Ontario was selected as our first runner-up for the Municipal Muzzle Award, and we selected Caledon after doing an initial 200 city scan of different jurisdictions. Then we did an in-depth analysis of 80 different municipalities. We did this work with law students from Osgoode Hall Law School, as well as using AI tools and with hundreds of hours of work from CCF staff. And Caledon is featured in our Municipal Muzzle report, which is available at the ccf.ca. And it's actually mentioned repeatedly because Caledon is a repeat offender on censorship laws. They have a sign bylaw that prohibits any signs deemed by the town to be offensive or negative. You know, this is a very subjective criteria that changes with culture. You know, we're in the middle of Pride Month in June, and, you know, in a different era, advocating for equal rights for gay people would have been offensive to many, if not the majority of people in a community. So saying that certain speech is prohibited because it is offensive is a really subjective criteria that allows for selective enforcement based on how a particular bylaw officer or city councilor feels. Another thing that Caledon does is they ban city councilors from speaking negatively or disrespectfully about the king or even the royal family. So if maybe you didn't like, you're a city councilor in this town of Caledon and you didn't like Meghan Markle's Netflix show, are you allowed to speak disrespectfully about it? Apparently not, according to this bylaw. Or what if you just have Republican sentiment? You're an anti-monarchist. You should be allowed to express those views in Caledon if you're an elected city councilor. Being elected to councilor doesn't mean you just give up all of your rights to freedom of expression. But we actually gave the Municipal Muzzle Award to Caledon because of a bylaw that limits not what city councilors can say, but what members of the public can say at council meetings. There is a bylaw in Caledon that prohibits insulting important people. So you are not allowed in a city council meeting as a member of the public to speak disrespectfully about a politician, whether it's a federal, provincial, or municipal politician. And who gets to decide what is disrespectful? Well, that's up to city council, that's up to bylaw. And, this is a big problem because, as I've said, the term disrespectful is a subjective one, but more than that, you have a constitutionally protected right to speak disrespectfully about any elected politician. It doesn't matter if it's the prime minister, a local city councilor, or a premier. It is a very special and precious thing that we are allowed to talk about our elected leaders using whatever words we choose. And this is a right that many people around the world do not have, to criticize, including disrespectful criticism of our political leaders. So for that bylaw, the town of Caledon receives our Municipal Muzzle Award. If you are not subscribed yet to the Canadian Constitution Foundation, please subscribe. I go through this report in depth in my latest video, and I'll also be visiting our second runner-up today to present the second runner-up of this award. So turn on your notification bell so you get notified when that happens later today, because I want you to hear who came in our second runner-up place for this award. Thanks for watching.
Mommy.